Hey everybody, welcome back. To those of you new to the channel, I want to welcome you as well, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I had in mind for today. It's about friendships as adults, and kind of describing like the dynamic of that. You really can't get into that until you start to address some of the other issues that are kind of constraining that these days. Because I would say that in the past, for previous generations, people were able to form friendships because things were much more localized in whatever town or city or wherever you lived in. You felt like you lived much more in the environment that you were actually in. Like the people that were around you, you had much more of a strong connection because social media, let's all admit, whatever good it might have brought in any area, especially as far as being able to reach out and connect with an old friend from high school or something like that, it has created far more damage to our ability to connect with other people and have like meaningful relationships when it comes to just the people around us. So many of us end up feeling extremely isolated and we don't really have any people that we would consider a friend. And for today, present day, we have the added problem of the economy and just the adult struggles that we all go through. In the past, it's not that that didn't exist in the past, but for those of you, unless you've been living under a rock, you realize our economy has completely shifted to where most people that I'm encountering, most people that I'm talking to here on YouTube, a whole lot of them are having to significantly shift their life. They are under such stress financially just to be able to thrive, let alone even survive, that they can't really even stop and think about how they're going to have any form of a meaningful relationship with any other adults around them. And this isn't about romance. We're just talking friendships where you feel like you can actually connect and have a sense of ease, a sense of camaraderie, enjoy certain activities together and do certain things. It just doesn't exist anymore for the most part. Now, I'm going to get to a point where we'll talk about some ideas about how you might be able to expand out of that because we don't want to just leave it there. A solution is far better than just simply complaining and talking about what you think is wrong with the situation. And I'll throw at you some of the things that I've done to kind of expand my own circles and get to meet people and have meaningful interaction where I feel like there's fulfillment for everybody involved. Because that's part of it right there. I mean, people used to join bowling leagues just to be able to interact and connect, and maybe there are still some things like that out there. That's one thing I would even ultimately recommend. If there's something that you can do as far as physical activity, there are groups of people that will go hiking, that will go, that play different types of sports like baseball, softball, bowling, all sorts of different things, leagues that you can join, or even groups of people, friends that just get together so that you can really just kind of enjoy that connection. And that's a major way that you can do that, but it's always you could do it through a multitude of different things. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here talking about the interests that you could pursue where you might find other people that are like-minded and you'll have much more of a realistic connection because you're able to talk about things that you're interested in and begin to form a friendship based on that. But part of that is involves pulling away from social media and pulling away from the internet, and to some degree you have to be able to maybe even utilize the internet in the first step of that, which almost sounds contradictory, but I'll explain myself in that. To utilize the internet in the first step of that, you might be able to. There used to be something called Meetup, and it's not a dating site or anything like that. As I recall, it was actually something that I used to get into one of the first film groups I ever got involved in, and I use film for all sorts of different things. It's a creative endeavor. It's things that I do to really kind of grow myself in that way. And one of the first film group meetups, I still have people that I'm friends with that from today. And that started over 10 years ago. And I'm still connected with some of those people. We still see each other occasionally. We talk and it really built something much more long lasting that a lot of people I keep hearing in present day, modern day adult life just don't have anymore. And they're missing it. They're aching for it. They want some sort of human interaction that doesn't feel just like a bunch of people complaining on the internet, which I try to make what we do on this channel here not really about that, but about a camaraderie and finding solutions together, because I think that's really, really important. And another reason why it's majorly tough is most people out there, they're not just trying to survive the financial pandemonium that's going on in our economy. They might be married, they might have children, they might be going through the pain of a divorce and alienation from their own kids. It might even be against their own will, and they're struggling with all of that. And they might not. There's so many people that are going through that. It's like it kind of takes all of those people out of any potential place in life where they feel like they can even seek a friendship. They're still trying to even find out who they're going to be past that chapter of their life. And I've encountered so many people that are going through that and going through all the financial struggles that are already happening because of our bad economy, that it just creates this sort of setup of isolation that so many people are struggling with, that they don't know how to really get past. And to break free of all of this, I would say you really have to be intentional about it. Nothing in this life that you're ever going to find that's worth anything is ever going to be reached without intention involved. You really have to be intentional to shape it. You cannot just leave it to chance, hope that somehow you're going to connect with people and find something meaningful, good, or useful down the road, and just hope it drifts into your life by some miracle. You have to be out there and involved in things. And it doesn't necessarily involve money. You have to kind of gauge your own finances and gauge what you're doing just to be able to do that. But you have to pursue interest, and you have to pursue things that are going to connect you with people that are like-minded, so that you'll have things that you can kind of bond over and form that friendship over. And I know it sounds weird that I'm kind of breaking it down, because when we were all kids, it seemed like that was the easiest thing in the world to do. Even somebody that may not have initially liked you, you found a way to become friends with that individual, maybe bonding over some show that you both liked, or some sort of thing. I knew guys that bonded over baseball cards when they were kids. I used to love to watch uh, everything from Star Wars to all the things that every most young boys liked, and I'd find other kids that had interests similar to that, and we would sit there and we'd talk about it, and we would. It just seemed like the easiest thing in the world. And the next thing you know, you're all hanging out, you're spending time together, you're getting invited over to each other's houses. And as adults, I think it becomes almost convoluted, because we feel like there's this competition and struggle on top of all the things that are already going wrong in our culture, that keeps us all a bit divided. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm curious to see what you all think about this. What are ways that you go about actively pursuing like an adult friendship, or setting yourself into that position? Because as I said before, it is an intentional thing. You have to intentionally arrange your life to break the isolationism, but breaking it in a way to where you don't end up trying to make friends with people that just aren't interested in that, or don't share common interests with you, that are kind of necessary to even form that. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Um, what are you guys doing about it? What are your thoughts about how things have shifted over the years, not just culturally, when economically everything was easier and people all spent time together, more readily, like they would have a block party, or they would all get together and go bowling, or do activities together, or go to churches and do activities together. What are your thoughts on the changes and differences that have happened? So at any rate, I'm going to leave it there for now. And be sure to like, subscribe, helps the algorithm. It seems like I'm having a little bit of trouble with my YouTube algorithm, because they keep telling me that they want to demonetize videos, particularly ones that deal with particularly hard topics. When I talked about the jab and the effects, they tried to threaten me with demonetization, and actually started to. And it severely affected the algorithm. And a multitude of other videos where we talk about the negative effects of hookup culture, and the negative effects of some of the scams that the government is subsidizing and breaking up marriages and relationships. They've come at me a number of times now. I've started to notice that I'm really catching some heat with that. So anytime that you can interact, share it with friends. If you like what you're seeing and hearing, is definitely going to help the algorithm to help keep things moving forward, which is what I intend to do. I have no intention of stopping. So I'm going to leave it there. ladies and gentlemen, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a good day.